Carrie Bressler here. Oh, hi Carrie, how are you?
Good, thanks.
We're gonna just move you to the top here so you don't have to stay all night if you don't want to.
Okay.
But if you really want to stay all night, you're more than welcome.
So
Okay.
take a minute and get yourself set up there.
Can I get on the agenda to speak? Is it appropriate at this time?
We can add you to the work session.
Okay.
What's your name?
Michelle Sapp, S-A-P-P.
In reference to,
A crosswalk on Wickersham.
So we have been on those others, in reference to 135 Arlington Road, zoning variance.
and what's your name, I'm sorry?
Tia Jones.
Okay. I'll let you do the work session, no problem.
Anyone else like to be added to the work session while we're here?
All right. Carrie, you want to start things off?
Sure. Thanks for having me. I'm here once again as you for the support of the library. Very important to us. We appreciate it. We use the money that you give us for very good purposes. So I'm sure you're aware of all the good things you do at the library. And I just wanted to share with you some information about the library. We are going to be expanding, starting very soon, within the next coming months. We're tentatively scheduling a groundbreaking ceremony, so of course you'll all be invited for that. What we'll be doing is adding a wing to the library. And I don't know if you've been inside the library, what we'll be doing is moving the children's upstairs to the existing upper floor and moving the adult collection to the new wing. We'll also have a new lobby in the library that welcomes you, and we'll have displays in that area that will be open for everybody to see community events and community information. And we'll have more quiet space in the library for reading. We'll be adding a self-checkout kiosk, which is kind of exciting. And the downstairs will become meeting space, which is greatly needed in the library. Right now, when we have a program, we pack people into our small children's story time room. And, just recently we had the Friends of the Serpentine Barons come and speak, and we had 27 people show up, which was wonderful, but we had standing room only. So, it would be nice to be able to have a program where we can invite more people and welcome them, not make them stand. So, those are some exciting things we have going on right now. So we will be, under construction for several months, for about 9 months, I imagine. And so, we hope that you'll come to a groundbreaking ceremony, and we hope that you'll come and see us once we're completed with the project.
You want to get groundbreaking ceremony?
We have it tentatively scheduled for an October date, and as soon as that date is firm, I will certainly let you know. It should be within a couple of days. Do you have any questions for me? Updates on the library?
I know the library had been planning this addition for quite some time.
Yes.
Has it downsized since?
The size itself is the same. The building expansion didn't change. What changed was the materials. We had to do away with some of the premium items. We had to build a building that we could actually afford instead of one that we hope to afford one day. So the board is really committed to providing us this extra space that the community needs. So they really reassessed the value of what was needed. And, we'll have a great functional building. It just may not have all of the, the repurposed, reclaimed wood or all of the architectural that we want to put. They just what you crazy.
You have a lot of activity around the library all the time.
We do have
That's
a-
great.
We do. Yes, I'm really happy. Last year we welcomed close to 80,000 people walking in our doors. So we're really awesome.
What's the hours?
We're there Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 9 to 8. Tuesday, 12 to 8, and Friday, 9 to 5, Saturday, 9 to 4. Last year we extended our hours. We used to have a late opening on Thursdays, but we found that we had enough staff to extend the hours, so that was a good thing. And we even have people there when we're not open, using our Wi-Fi, sitting on our picnic benches, of course. So. And we also have quite a few things that are available as e-resources. You can check out ebooks at any time. You can place holders on items in the library at any time. We have a new platform for getting magazines, so you can actually check out magazines on your devices, on your iPad, and read them right there. So you don't even have to come into the library to do it nowadays.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, next monitoring.
Monitoring reports. I received the monitoring reports for our properties. How do you want me to do this? I mean, do you want me to tell you the results of each one? Like read the...
The question first about, as a whole, how many properties do we have to do the reports on annually?
4.
All right, and what is the expense typically?
It's on 160 properties. We actually have the bill on there for $160 a property.
How much?
$160 a property.
How often?
Once a year.
Okay.
So you want me to just read the results of each one? Is that the easiest way to do it? Alan and Cynthia Pugh, the following best management practices have been implemented per scheduled and approved conservation plan. Have not been implemented. The pipeline, which is 1,200 feet in field 2, as outlet for water and sediment control basin. All practices were scheduled for implementation by June of 2009. Mr. Pugh has now installed the permanent stream bank fencing and stream crossing on his property. Mr. Pugh will also be working with Stroud Water Research Center to plant trees within the stream border of his property. With this construction of the fencing and crossing, the requirements of these practices set forth in his conservation plan have been satisfied. Mr. Pugh is also in the beginning stages of installing the pipeline located in field 2 and has indicated that he would like to have the work completed by this fall. Do you want me to pass them down so you can look at them as I read them? Or... And then the present owner for David G. and Maddie R. Blank. The following best management practices have not been implemented per schedule in approved conservation plan dated August 6, 2008. Stream crossing, 1 plan for field 5. All practices were scheduled for implementation by June of 2009. Since my 2013 visit, stream bank fencing and a livestock exclusion area have continued to be established on the farm. The conservation plan states that a stream crossing should be placed in field 5 for access to the pasture on the far side of the stream. As far as the landowner maintains the livestock exclusion and fencing, this requirement of the conservation plan should no longer be necessary. However, if in the future the landowner begins to allow the cows across the stream, the requirement for the stream crossing should be reinstated. The Esch property, who is now the present owner, is Jonas and Melinda Stolfus. Based on my visit of all of the best management practices scheduled in the approved conservation plan dated July 16, 2008 are being implemented. This farm is in full compliance with the conservation plan. However, there was stream bank fencing, a stream crossing, and a watering facility which were scheduled to be implemented in field 5. This field was previously used as a pasture. As I noted in 2013, the field is now fully used as cropland. Due to the fact the land use has changed from pasture to cropland, I believe the conservation plan should be updated to accurately reflect the changes made to the land. That would be a winning question as to whether we should do that or not. And then John and Lavinia Blank is our last one. The following best management practices have not been implemented per schedule in approved conservation plan dated March 1st, 2010. Roof runoff structure in field 6 scheduled to be implemented in March of 2011. I spoke to Samuel F. Blank during my 2013 visit, and he indicated that a contractor would be performing the necessary work for the roof runoff structure that year. However, I did not see any proof that work had been done to establish the required roof runoff structure.
So what do we do when we have a situation like that where it's not being done and it should have been done?
Are these extra copies or?
You may have them, yeah, I can print off one.
They're all.
I mean, there's only
They all
one that's
had
in basically
something.
full compliance. Well, the Esh Farm has that one thing, but it's because they're for crops.
Right.
Yeah, that's,
So that we could fix that one. The other three are not in compliance, so. You can
That's
look
one
at
thing,
that
I mean, this is pretty typical, every year it seems to be the same comments, and I always send them letters. And we, usually they say they're working on
Well,
it,
maybe it's not.
maybe it needs to come from Winnie.
Yeah. I think it's been enough time, don't you?
it's like 4 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have any questions on the monitoring reports? Supervisors, any questions for Susan? Wayne? Good. All right. Next we want to talk about advertising for the open space tax. So I'd like to talk about us advertising for the open space tax. Bringing that tax down to a 0 for next year from 1/8 that it's at right now. So right now, everybody realizes we're at 1 1/8 right now in the township. We have the option to bring it down or to change it in the beginning of the year every year. So I'd like to consider the fact of changing it to 0 or just 1% at this point and getting rid of the 1/8. So I'd like to just get everybody's opinion on that, especially the board's opinion, so we can discuss it a little bit.
Well, let's back up and tell everybody why it's at where it is now.
Okay. When we first took on open space, we took out a bond for $4 million? For $4 million to purchase open space lands, which raised the tax from 1% to 1.5%, and that 0.5% was for open space. So that money went towards that open space fund, was used to pay down that debt, used to purchase other lands in the open space. At this point, we've actually paid the bond off incomplete, so the bond is paid off in full. Last year, we anticipated the bond being paid off, so we brought the tax down to 1.18 or 1.125% to make sure that we can cover that tax being paid down. So at this point, that bond is paid down. If we
Scott,
decide.
can I interrupt you just 1 minute?
You know.
You keep saying the 1.1, the 1 is our earned income. The open
Right.
space is only the 0.125.
Yes, thank you. So the open space is 0.125. We brought that down, in the beginning it was 0.5%, we brought it down to 0.125. At this point, we'd like to discuss bringing it down to 0. We have some extra money in that account if we decide to use it for some open space. It's not gonna get rid of open space at this point, but it will eliminate a little extra money that our taxpayers are paying right now that we don't feel they need to be paying at this point. We do still have the option of purchasing open space. What are they,
Development rights.
thank you.
Mhm.
Of purchasing development rights from the open space. We're not getting rid of that option, we're talking about just lowering the burden right now on the taxpayers when it's not necessarily needed. So, that being said, that's what we'd like to talk about a little bit and discuss in our work session. So I'm in favor of, talking about it and putting it on the agenda, talking about having Winnie starting on an ordinance to bring it down to 0 for next year. So we would just have our earned income tax at 1%, correct?
Correct.
So we would just have our earned income tax at 1%. With the option, again, every year, we can look into it if we need to bring it back up and, bring in more tax money for open space at that point.
Do we have anybody else?
floor up to comments from everybody out there, if anybody has any comments or any questions on this. Yes,
How many
state
acres?
your name for us too.
John, how many acres were purchased, the rights over the course of the $4 million bond?
Susan, you know that, how much we purchased?
It's close to 1,000, but I'll give you, I think I have it with me. And the total acreage was, with the county and ours, is 963.46 acres.
Okay, so just about 964 acres.
These are easements. These aren't actual, the township doesn't actually own the
Right.
properties.
We basically bought the rights to the.
And as opportunities arise throughout the year, we can bring this back in and, I don't know if it's 0, 125, or 125. 1 acre, 1%.
Is there any other questions out there? John, anything you'd like to add?
No, I think pretty much covered it.
Art,
That's it.
do you ladies have anything like that? This side over here? All right. So, we'll add that, we'll be doing that to the agenda as we go. We also had maybe you wanna spearhead this one, a request from Elk Township?
Yeah, Elk Township, for those of you that don't know where exactly Elk is, if you were to travel down 472, pass out of the township in 472, the next township you get to before you go into Maryland is Elk. They are the southeastern corner of the school district. They are bordered entirely within the school district by East Nottingham. They don't touch any other school district municipalities. On the west side, they do touch New London and Franklin Township, which are in Avon Grove School District, and Maryland to the south, and Rising Sun, Cecil County. They have a problem where they do not have their own road crew to maintain their, for snow removal. In the last year, they contracted with a company who charged a very large amount of money to remove the snow. They have, compared to East Nottingham, they have a very small number of roads. I believe the number is 12 miles. We have, Bill?
14 miles.
14 miles? Okay. How many miles do we have?
We have like 63 or 3.
We have 63 miles of roads. So compared to East Nottingham, it's very small, a small fraction of East Nottingham. They have requested that we think about helping them in their snow removal. They would compensate the township for our activities. We just need to figure out, A, whether they're still interested in doing that, and B, how much we would require to be compensated for the use of our manpower and equipment. Anybody have any comment?
I think that people are pretty overburdened to begin with. To add 12 more miles, I think, is a lot to ask of them, especially with that snowstorm. And the phone calls that Pat takes now, is that gonna increase what
Don't worry about, we have to hire more people.
yeah, I just don't see
And
it.
have more equipment.
Yeah, to ask our people
Which,
to do
you know,
that.
Yeah.
Bill, what do you think? A normal snow, we could probably help them out. If we had a blizzard,